What's with the glasses? Are you gonna get the frames
So
fixed or
you
whatever? I've
you
been
can't.
noticing this for 3 weeks now.
I'm wondering if it's noticeable in just the clips or not. But yeah,
Only when you go like,
I think that last clip was a little sideways. Yeah, it's been 6 weeks probably. But since I'm running the office myself, it's pretty much my only Sunday or Saturday morning's probably the only day I can schedule the eye doctor. I could just take it to the glass store and get fixed, but I'd rather get my prescription and glasses and just do the whole thing at the same time.
whoa, 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 what's going on here?
A wild Z has appeared. What's going on, Z?
I don't know if this is gonna go 100%, but they're upstairs.
Okay, so we'll see how it goes, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get us started because Dan's got to get to his lady before she leaves town, and we
Where's she going?
San Diego, whale's vagina.
That is
girls
what that means.
trip.
It's French for that.
German, but yeah.
They didn't send Z to one of those white schools where she could learn French
She
after her
doesn't have the
mom
uniform.
after her mom ended up with a guy with scars on his face. All right, let's jump into this thing. Welcome to this episode of the Prestige-ish Media Podcast. My name is Craig Lake. I will be hosting this evening with two of my favorite people that work with Jagger. It's Dan McNair and Jessica Z. Jessica Z, how are you this evening?
I am good. Had a very busy weekend. I'm glad it's over.
Does your shirt say Peter Thief or what's going on there?
Penis thief.
It really does say that. Okay, it
It
was
says
supposed. Oh,
pet all the dogs.
okay, got it. Dan, how are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. I was with a blind girl last night,
Okay.
and she told me that my penis was the largest that she had ever felt. And I said, "You're pulling my leg."
Yes.
Does your girlfriend know about that?
Dan also known for being the resident penis thief. So let's
Oh,
talk.
wait. Oh,
Let,
sorry. It says pet all the hogs.
I
Sorry.
bet it does. So this episode, speaking of, is Stand Still and See. It is a biblical reference to Exodus 14:13, which is actually discussing Moses parting the Red Sea, but I am assuming is a reference to the Moses burning bush that we see at the end of the episode. So that is my little bit of info. Also, some episode cleanup. Previously, I have discussed various Levinstons as the creator, and why oftentimes I say the creator versus his name is because I am known to intentionally and unintentionally mix up character names, people's names, everything. His actual name is Sam Levinston, so I just want to make sure we're not totally special here, only partially special. Did you happen to know who played the scarred man in this episode, Dan or Z? Had you guys seen him from anywhere?
I told Gary it was Seal. I believe I just Googled it and I don't think I'm right.
Yeah, that was a good guess, but
Thank
it
you.
is not him. Dan, how about you?
I never saw Oz, so I don't know him.
Yeah, I think he's from The Wire, is what
Or
I
The
had
Wire,
heard.
yeah.
Yeah, and he played Kwame on The Wire, and Bishop was on The Wire as well. So I have not watched The Wire in my Netflix queue, shot
Is
out to
his face like
Childish
that all the
Gambino.
time?
No, they did that as makeup. So it was a makeup job.
Okay.
And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. The leg on the top of the silver slipper is actually modeled after the opening scene with Mama Brown's legs and shoe here. So that's interesting.
I feel like you could connect with Alamo on that.
So let's talk about this. In so much as that my mom was never good at making choices in men that would benefit our lives at all, that much is true.
I just meant your fixation on her putting on
Oh,
pantyhose,
it's
but
fucking disgusting, and I hate pantyhose. Dan, can you partially for that reason? Thanks for jogging that memory, Z, you son of a bitch. Dan, can you please give me an initial rating and a palate cleanser from Z's Open here?
I gave it a 6.8.
Holy shit. Okay,
I think
continue.
we'd both agree that compared to the last episode, this one was very flat
We don't.
in more
Go
ways
ahead.
than one.
Yeah, no, I don't agree, but go ahead.
There was nothing here I could connect with. I want somebody to die.
I think you're on route. Your bloodlust will be fulfilled, and I think they even foreshadowed it. Z, do you got a rating and thoughts here?
Pacing wise, I expected someone to die in this episode. So I had Gary, this was the first ever Euphoria episode that he watched. And at the end, I was like, oh, sorry. Like
Sorry, Gary.
I thought something was gonna happen. And having him watch it and depending on my recommendation made me give it a 5 because I was like, oh, nothing happened that he could be like, oh yeah, this show is great. But I do think he has PTSD from me because like
Because Aunt Diane?
every
Oh,
time
wait,
there
no,
was a
that's me.
every time there was a new chick on the screen, he was like, "Oh, she looks like a dude," and
Oh,
like it was like chicks
yeah.
every time. And like, I think he's just worried about me being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're not going to say anything."
So infamously, me and Jessica have trapped Dan and Gary into complimenting trans characters before. And so Gary apparently was very suspicious. I got this as an 8.5. Other than the lack of boobs, I thought it was every bit as good as the last episode. I think a lot of times this show can be sizzle and not steak. And I feel like this episode was the best mix of that. It's the best mixes of its visual and plot cues. I'll accept that it didn't kill anyone, but if you did kill a main character like Rue at the end of this episode, really episode 7 is a finale and then 8 is like a happy ending episode in my opinion. And so I think the fact that we didn't get something here means this is pacing for a really good penultimate and finale. But yeah, we can talk about it. I'll make my case. As usual, you guys are stone cold hearted bitches, and so you probably won't change your opinions based on what I say, but I will make the case. So let's talk about the cold open. We talk about the coldest female Alamo knew. We get our introduction to Preston with the scars, who did really seem to be a good man. So I think a lot of times, sometimes Z doesn't really like violence. Me and Dan infamously don't like stuff that makes us feel icky. And you could take the character like this and show his dad beating him or him being molested or something terrible. This actually shows the influence of a good man in this person's life, but why he has a disdain for women. We see the background of his Western posters. And so the real plot point of this is that Preston is going to inherit money from his facial scars that he received working on the job. So this mom, I think the show does a good job of setting us up early where we know this is a setup with the mom. And so it's not that big of a shock, maybe exactly how it's delivered, but they didn't play a lot of games there. So basically, the mom arranges for them to be robbed while they're on vacation. And because Alamo saw this, he not only thinks Preston was the mark, which is at a carnival or any type of thing like that, the person that gets taken advantage of, but that it was Alamo himself. And he said to himself that he would never again let a bitch outsmart him. Z, initial thoughts just on that opening scene. We haven't really got the natural lost character intros from season 1 and 2 a lot, but this gives us the background on Alamo. What did you think of this open?
I thought it was a great open. I thought it was so emotional and cute and then sad. I loved it.
Dan, what about you?
Yeah, I thought the open was one of the two things in the episode that I did enjoy more than not. Did you happen to mark what town Alamo grew up in?
I don't think I did. What did you have?
Well, I have a special guest star. The Geography Lord is here, and
Okay.
I noticed a Chicago cruiser and an old style ad in the background, and that is my hometown. It was a little bit of relatable business there.
You and Alamo might have went to the same school if his mom didn't fuck it up. One of them white schools. That's
Did
why you know.
anybody think, though, before we really know Preston, as he's whispering to young Alamo and they're sitting on the couch, and I thought he
The
was going to
couch
do
gra-
some diddling with the Hershey
the
bar.
the couch grab was weird. And once again, I was glad to see it not go down bad road city. Like
I'm
that
glad
was
I'm not the only
refreshing.
one that had my antenna up for
I
that.
mean,
It was up, but
if
We
you
knew something bad was gonna happen.
yeah, when you see a guy show up and reach for a little kid's between his
Or to
bare legs on the couch, it can be concerning sometimes. I think
usually when any adult asks a child to keep a secret from his parents that like
yes,
isn't a parent.
and
Yeah.
then gives him candy is the
I'm just
oldest
glad
trick
that it
in the
was that
book.
Hershey bar that came out of his pants.
Yeah,
Oh man.
if he
Not
had a
Faye's
pop
Hershey bar.
if he had a popcorn bucket, I was like gonna be like, man, he did get this from Dan. They did grow up in the same town. Oldest trick in the book. The old popcorn bucket on the lap trick. You weren't going to have to wait long to get to the end of Rue. If they would have started somewhere else in the episode besides Rue that was in the current timeline, that would have been jarring. But you pretty much knew you'd catch up with Rue as soon as this was over, hopefully, and that's what they did. He takes a few swings by Rue. Now, Z, who the great Bambino is, right?
Babe Ruth learned that in the Sandlot. Yes.
That's what I was going to guess where you would know him from. And yeah, I think that was an interesting open there. So she has to call Faye. Faye's on the toilet because she went to do coke. That Rue switched out, I think, with the cops, possibly with the baby powder or whatever. Or I forget how that all went down, but there was a switch. Probably, I think it was when the cops took her drugs, they
And
switched it
then it was
out.
in the safe and they stole the stuff out of the safe.
Yeah, and then she started doing those drugs. So Faye was on the toilet, super gross. But Faye is now madly in love with this Nazi. She has a new Nazi tramp stamp. We get Rue invoking Fez's name. That basically Fez was in jail because of her junkie boyfriend. We see a confrontation with her boyfriend about she's supposed to give birth and have babies, which Aziz mentioned her proclivity for attaching to people that just take care of her, but he doesn't want to have some screwed up, creepy, crawly kids from her doing drugs. So she's
I think that's so
chastised.
I thought that was so funny. I screamed into the kitchen because Gary wandered off and I was like, ah, you missed a good line.
So yeah, I thought this all made sense as an angle for the show. What did you make of all this, Dan?
I seem to remember you having a big negative mark towards swastikas tattooed on people from our Justified coverage. I didn't think that this would land quite as well with you on that thing, but dude seems to think it's sexier than tramp stamps.
It was funny when he goes sexier. I literally said swastika to Gary, and it was one. And I don't know. I'm getting good at guessing.
We're watching another show that's invoking Nazis currently.
Like,
Like it was
I
in the
just know,
just expected. It's the playbook. Go ahead, Z.
I just knew this guy is white trash and a
Yeah,
horrible
no,
person.
it could have been a Confederate flag, but that wouldn't swing as well in California.
You
So
can't do
not,
a flag tramp
no, I'm
stamp
just
is
saying he had a Confederate or he had a Nazi flag above the bed, I think, when they were done. But
but a whole flag
what I
tramp
thought
stamp is so
yeah, but my point was more they could have invoked something besides Nazis, but that is
He
the soup.
already planted his pole back there.
That is the soup de jour.
at first I thought it was gonna be his name, but then when he said sexier, I was like, and
Yeah.
when she guessed a butterfly, I was like that oh wait, Faye is as long as a butterfly. Never mind.
So there's going to be this setup with Alamo and this Lori meeting. We see I do think some of the exchange between Wayne and her is nauseating. I don't think the character playing Wayne nails this role. It's pretty cartoony to me, his side of things. But we see them making hearts out the window on the way to this meet cute with Alamo. I think one of my high points early is you get this showdown with Lori's crew and Alamo's crew, and the guns pull out. And just Zendaya as an actress, you see a lot of her strong points in this episode, I think. And here specifically, just her facial expressions as all the bullshit's going down, I think are very strong points of this scene. They start asking about the gold rush medical services, which we can definitely think are tied to that.
Angel.
Yeah, in the rehab facility. Lori asks Alamo if he watches the news. He says, "Bitch, I don't give a fuck about the news." We get this spit shake, this agreement that they're going to use these medical ambulances to transfer 80 kilos from Mexico because the border shut down. What did you make of this scene and this plan? And we get the jackpot that was needed on this thing.
I wanted a bloodbath.
Dan, what were you looking for here?
Well, I thought it was interesting the standoff that they were having with the guns, but I didn't think it was really going to go anywhere. And the hug was nice. That's about it.
To be fair, Gary checked out basically the first scene that you thought was a really good scene. So, like, I thought we have gotten a few of these scenes already. Maybe that's the only.
It was a good line, not a good scene. Let's get that straight.
Yeah, but I'm saying the first scene was 6 minutes, and by now he's already gone. And so it's
No,
like,
he came back. He was just getting food.
oh, yeah.
His size.
Those Z's, they're eating through all programming.
He's technically not a Z, but I digress.
Mr. Z.
Yes.
Mr. D.
Almighty. All right. So we do get a Rue meeting with the people that say you did good, kid, which I do think Rue hasn't gotten a lot of encouragement from anyone ever, probably. Did that register for anybody else?
I almost forgot that the DEA was involved at this point.
I think I don't know, her mom seemed supportive of her when she was doing good. Like when she would go to AA and stuff, and I'm proud of you, Rue. I don't know. She always told her she was doing good.
Yeah, I just don't think she's had a lot of teachers, or probably she was obviously had Ali in her life, but like she hasn't done great. So she hasn't really got a lot of those words of affirmation, I don't think. So we get
He's just shitty.
Maddie and Alamo. I think this was a good Rue episode, but we'll talk about it. We get Maddie and Alamo, Cassie and the snake. I did think there are moments, just actress wise, where I do think Sydney Sweeney plays this so well, like Cassie being so dumb and ditzy, like with the snake and some of those things. I thought that was a pretty funny line. She was asking if this,
so.
like when she was asking if the snake was safe, and
Yeah.
Maddie could give fucks less if the
I
snake
laughed.
is safe. Okay, so I wasn't the only one. And I did think it was interesting seeing Bishop say, like, I think it's a little crass, but Alamo says, is his pussy wet because everyone's trying to fuck him? And we get the line from Bishop, which is, people are trying to fuck you. I don't know if Maddie Perez is one of them. Now, I have actually said, I don't know, and I don't think I've put a Z theory on this, but I have had in my back of my head that it would make sense if Bishop was tied into the DEA. I don't think they explicitly give it to us here, but I think
that's
they
like
hint.
The biggest theory online right now.
Okay, but they hint around it here, and I hadn't seen that previously, but they come out and say it this episode almost without saying it,
Wait,
because
how?
they're talking about, they do admit it one way or another. Now, whether he's going to pull a double swerve and still be working for Alamo is another story. But when they do discuss the snake and he's laying out for, I think, Rue, Alamo's overall plan, he talks about whatever with her mother and complimenting her mother, but mom in her phone is also the DEA. And so he's not talking about her mom, he's talking about the DEA. Now, if he's going to double swing back and fuck the DEA, that could still happen. But I think he's probably more on the same page as Rue in this situation. But you've had a lot of side eye this whole episode. When he said he's telling his mom that she's doing well, he means he's telling that to the DEA. Did you pick up all of that on your side, Dan?
No, I actually thought this was a threat to Rue that they were going to go after her mom if she screwed up.
Then they did write it really well. But I think because I was already suspicious that, and to the point, Dan, of you forgetting about the DEA, she's like sliding the phone like during certain moments, and she's just like
that
always
was ridiculous.
dicking around.
Gary was like, how is a room full of gangsters not going to notice that this little girl takes out her phone and puts it away as soon as they're done making the deal?
Yes, plot hole Gary back at it.
My friend and I talked about the episode, like last week's episode, when she
that's what we do every week. It's called a podcast, see?
When she listened to our podcast.
Thanks for listening.
The day it was up or whatever, She probably didn't listen to it yet, but she talked to me about the episode the next day and was like, "So I think Bishop is undercover." And so then I had that in the back of my mind this episode. And like when he knew Maddie's info and stuff, and I'm like, it'd probably be like a lot easier to have access to that information right away if you were FBI.
But then you missed the biggest clue of the episode.
No, but they do that all the time as they threaten families, isn't it? That's
Yeah, no,
what,
I thought it could have been.
because he called her by her name, not by mom.
It was the reveal to me, and you guys can go back and watch it. I think it'll play a bit differently after we've had that conversation, but I feel good that it was disguised enough to fool even the experts like you guys. What do we make of Jules? So she's been threatened by this guy that she's dating to get rid of Jules or get rid of Rue previous episode, but I think Rue's dead on, and that guy even says to her, I like you. I love my family. Fuck off. I'm not going to risk anything for you. And we get Rue talking about wanting a life. Now, I get they've been through this before, but I think there's some equal blame as well to go around. Can I get your opinion on this with Jules first, Dan?
So the first two seasons, I didn't really mind Jules. I think season three could completely exist without Jules. There's certain things in shows that we've watched where we bring up a character or a subject and you roll your eyes. To me, Jules is the eye roll of this season, and every time she's on screen, I just immediately could care less.
I think they have enough going on that they don't need her. And I think that who knows what her schedule is and Zendaya's schedule, and then to tie them both into the main story. And we know Zendaya and Rue are more of a focal point of this story, but I think much like they had to dance around the painting drawn by a trans person, I think they would have had to have been careful not including this character. Now, they haven't done the character any service, so that's a double-edged sword. But I think just like Kat, it's they could have had her in this, but they didn't want to portray her well. We could have had another one of those situations on our hands if they just decided Jules doesn't work into the season. And I would agree at this point. They still have 2 episodes to prove us wrong, but we could do without her. But if you just evaluate the actions on screen, we've got Jules painting violently. I think maybe we're made to think that both her personal situation and what happened on that TV show is maybe supposed to bring out a different type of painting style from her, perhaps. I'm just speculating. And then she really spews some venom at Rue. And where you can either call it a show inconsistency, but I'm going to entertain the premise that the character is the character. As a character, last episode, she's telling Rue to take what she wants. This episode's Rue's telling her she wants her, and she's saying, you're a piece of shit for it. Get out of my apartment. So I think very inconsistent character wise. You can blame the writers, you can blame the show, you can blame Jules. I am going to blame Jules. Infamous Rue hater. Jessica Z, what's your take on this scene?
Jules was spot on. Rue is talking about a fantasy because Rue just built a federal case against her employer. Jules will be kicked out of her apartment and lose access to money if she decides to be with Rue. So they would just be two jobless, hard to
Homeless.
sell, skillless, like homeless, like
They're still
losers.
21, so
And
they're basically
yeah, but Rue's
40% of
talking about she
California.
wants to settle down and have a family. Oh, that's really fucking stupid. You have no job, you have no home. Like, how is that even? What are you talking about? What are you doing?
Can I ask you this though, as an infamous gaslighter and good fighter yourself, did Rue not make some very salient, stabby points by calling out Jules on the same bullshit of her life being a fantasy as well?
I'm pretty sure Jules, all she wanted to do was paint, and she's doing that. And she's living
Paint,
in the city. She wanted to live in the city, and she
paint
wanted
and
to
get
paint.
railed. She just
She wanted
wants
to
to
live.
throw her purse in a circle and dance like Kitty.
Jules
Dan,
is doing
anything else
exactly
from
what
you
she wanted to
here?
do.
If I'm going to defend Jules, she has no idea what's going on with Rue. And it does seem like Rue is just looking for something to hope for, like some sort of happy ending after she gets out of this mess that she's been in. And it feels like Jules shits on it. I just wish they would have given Jules something different as a plot line
Oh,
this
I
season.
of course, I think you could just remove her. So I'm not debating that, but I have to evaluate her on what they're giving us. Cue the Avril Lavigne, so much for their happy ending. But come on, Jules slaps Rue too. Where do we stand on the slap? That's a step too far.
I would hit her.
We're just slapping bitches now? That's what we're doing? Dan,
I would
anything
hit
from
her.
you?
Remind me of what Rue said to warrant said slap.
That she's a
Like,
toy. She's a
no,
toy. Put
yeah, that
away.
she, yeah, that he has a family and that this is your future now. You're just gonna paint, and this guy's just gonna show up and fuck you whenever he wants, like a toy, basically. I don't think it warranted a slap.
The same thing that Woody told Buzz, and all those other toys thought he was being a jerk, and
But did he go upside a bitch's head and they
he
like get?
threw Buzz out the window. Wait,
He was.
They
I
were
don't know
literally
that.
all toys.
I don't know the Toy Story lore, Z, any more than I know the jar lore. Dan, are we just slapping bitches now? That's just. I'm asking. I want to know the rules. Okay, are we just slapping them now?
I think it's a little different if it's
Oh, trans on girl is girl on girl. Isn't it just keep your hands to yourself? Where's the standard? Where's the line, Dan? Where's the
girl
line?
on girl is hot.
yeah, I think
Slapping?
it's at least it's equal.
Still got a dick. It has not been removed. I'm just saying, penis or no.
But Rue works her hands out a lot.
Yeah, so do you, pet that hog. So
All the
so yeah, we've got Cassie on set and Dylan basically tries to encourage her by telling her to just breathe. No other advice than that, though. Thanks a lot, Dylan. It's like a guy who's getting his ass beat in a UFC fight. And the corner is just, you're doing good. Just breathe. It's like, thanks, Dick. No other advice was given. But Cassie comes out, hoots ablazing. Sharon Stone in her other, I think that's actually an actress first, the casting director there. I think the casting director was in the last episode,
Yeah.
but this is another old timey actress. But they're both doing in their roles, I think, a very good job. We see them comment on her being very womanly. And I do the dynamic that Lexi is just so bothered by all of this because just everything always works out for Cassie. It's like an everyone loves Raymond situation. And so we see her go into this improv, almost like a breakdown, because we hear about the honeymoon. And so I don't know that she prepared this. I think we're made to believe, premise wise, that this just came out of her on the spot. What did you make of this improv scene, Dan, and where we ended up here?
This was the other part of the episode that I did enjoy. And yeah, the Cassie stuff is one of the more interesting storylines this season. It's just it was a brief part of the entire episode. We got a lot of Cassie last episode, but the inside making a TV show and watching this work out and how everybody involved in production is just swooning over this saving storyline. I thought I got the kick out of it, and having Lexi there to counterbalance it, I thought was an interesting narrative.
And you're a notorious Lexi Homer too, but I think she's a little like she's explaining JOIs and her requests to the other people. She's really trying to fuck her sister over and it does not work out. Now, I think the way Maud Apatow describes it and protecting herself as her character is that she doesn't want to be responsible for Cassie fucking up her career, but rather seeing it as an opportunity for them to mutually benefit. She does combat her competitively. One thing I did want to mention is they do say the scene, like Sydney Sweeney's describing it, it's set inception because it's like of a set within a set. And she just mentioned it, and it was really hard to tell like where the set began and ended. Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say the interesting part to me from the Lexi character is she just did use a personal relationship with the Jules thing that blew up in her face. And so
Right.
now having her unreliable sister breaking through, there's got to be a little bit of a scar tissue there where she's remembering how bad the Jules thing went and she doesn't want another net negative.
she could write it as a positive, but she wants to get all her licks in on writing. And so that's where I think that person's character flaw is. Hopefully, she's learned from her previous attempt. Jessica, your thoughts on this whole scene? What is this show called? Nude, lewd, and boobs, night terrors, night.
LA Nights.
LA Nights, yeah.
Okay, Z, what do you got for us?
I thought Lexi brought so much humor to this scene. She's so good at it. My God. And I don't know, it was so real. I don't know. I feel like my sister and I don't know if it's because our parents pitted us against each other all the time or what, but it was always like, oh, I'm in trouble for this. Did you know that Jessica did this? It was always like, I don't know. Oh, I only get this. Well, I did this and this, and Jessica got this, and she shouldn't have because she did this. I don't know. Just
I,
constant bickering and trying to tear each other down. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say it's a natural sibling thing that can happen. I just think
Yeah.
that Lexi gets a free pass for everything because she seems to be so innocent, but she's really dicking around with her sister here. And equally, Cassie just getting out of this by using her body to tell stories. She's like the
She was
Teflon Don.
twisting it good.
But she's like the Teflon Don. Nothing sticks to her. She can just wriggle out of everything and just we talked last episode jokingly about her Mr. Magooing through everything to her own success. It's pretty funny. And the one line from her, and it wasn't a previous trailer, but she's the hardest thing is how people treat me, even my own family. And them pointing it as this new wave of feminism, and Lexi trying to be like, the fuck it is. That stuff I did really enjoy. And I do think some stuff like that is very pointed topical humor because you could read that scene two different ways, in my opinion.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Where are you getting your JOIs?
Dan, do you care? As we know from our earlier Euphoria coverage, and I quote, I watch a lot of porn, guys. Do you want to chime in there?
These days, I'm not outsourcing anymore.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Or in
of
Also, no instructions.
some might call it insourcing. You're doing less of. I might say you are outsourcing more, so to
Well,
speak.
instead of using AI, I've actually got on-the-job assistants.
Z, I
So
know.
are you giving the JOIs now?
Z, I know that you love when like all of this type of stuff gets brought up. You were a big Pay Pig fan. You loved all of
Yeah.
Cat Simulation. Was this a high point for you in the episode?
Like her twisting everything.
Or just asking?
I didn't know what that meant. I'm
Oh,
gonna be
really?
honest. That's why
Okay.
I'm like, it's stuck in my head now because I was like, what?
The funniest part
And
to me was I think one of the old ladies. I don't think it was Sharon Stone. I think it was the
I
other
need
one.
instructions.
Yeah, the they need instruction line was like high up in the episode
Dude,
thing.
I was here taking notes too, just like those ladies. I'm like, what? But yeah, I just thought it was really funny how she just kept everything that what is it? Lexi brought up to trip her up. She
Yeah.
turned it into positive and it just kept going and going. And I don't know, it's so funny.
So we end up with Cassie deleting her OnlyFans. Meanwhile, a friend of Lexi is telling her to basically kill her character on the show or build her up to character to kill her. What I'm hoping, if she doesn't really die, I think this is foreshadowing for one or multiple character deaths. But additionally, I hope that she kills Cassie, but because she becomes more famous because she did this. Like you talk about the Lost Open, Dan, with I forget who they killed right away, but like
The pilot.
there's the Drew Barrymore role in Scream. I get that's an opposite thing, which is a famous person being killed early is twisting a narrative on its head. But sometimes a new character can get tied up in a show so long that they don't end up moving on in Hollywood. So something like this could be a real benefit to Cassie's career. I don't know how this ends. I'm guessing it doesn't end great for most of these characters, but that is one thing that I would like to see as a Cassie fan is Lexi to fuck her over and it still doesn't work. Go ahead, Dan.
I thought that there was a humor to that line within the show. As me, the guy looking for deaths, And this friend that lives in the apartment complex are like, oh, there's so many different ways to kill characters, and we're watching a fucking show that has killed more actors than actual characters 3 seasons in.
I think we're definitely setting up for people that are going to be killed. And to be fair, I think they might have killed more characters this season if they were still alive. But in real life, I'm saying
They've killed more actors.
some might say they killed themselves or cancer. But Z, you got anything else here?
No.
I just think it sucks because if Cassie deletes her OnlyFans and this doesn't work out, it's kind of put her in a tough position. It's put Nate in a tough position. We don't really know what position it's going to put Maddie in. And we'd all just like to see Cassie in any position.
Oh my God, yeah. What if Maddie won't be making enough money without her and won't be able to give Alamo what he's expecting?
Yeah, I just don't know how that part of it works out. I would have Maddie's deal separate from the other two gals' deals, but we just don't really know what's going to go on here. So we get a scene with Rue in church. I don't know if you ever do this in Dan or Z, but from being in different acting classes growing up or things like that, I look for good monologue scenes. We obviously saw one last week that was more of a what I'm talking about, which is something you'd use in your acting class, like a scene from Shakespeare or something. But we get this Rue monologue, even though she's talking to her mom. We got one camera shot and like an "I love you, Rue" from the mom, but really, this is all carried by Zendaya's action. And with the stake and the sizzle of this show is we get this beautiful church scene. You've got good cameragraphy, filmography, all the ography, Lord me, Dan. But you get great camera shots. You've got this stained glass window. You've got a great set piece with this church. And then Zendaya delivers, I think, a really good monologue. She talks about it being hard to change when all you can think of is all the bad things you've done. I just want to be free to start over. I want to be forgiven. And then she says to her mom, I'm sorry if I made it harder. I didn't know how tough it was out there by yourself. And I just think these are things that we're not all drug addicts, so we can't all relate to what Rue has gone through. But this feeling of hard to change, bad things you've done, or things that haven't worked out, or sometimes feeling like you want to start over, I think these are all universal human emotions. And so I just put out there is I feel like a scene like this, while nobody's getting their balls chopped off, Dan, is this show at its best, which is great camera work and good character work on screen. Your thoughts, Dan?
I'll concede it was a pretty good monologue. As far as the character Rue goes, I feel like we've seen this with her pulling things coming in and out of rehab a couple times and winding up in the same place. So it maybe wasn't as fresh or it didn't grab me the same way as it did you. I'm fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. I'm like, it felt very similar to something Rue would have said in season 2. Obviously, the character's in a different place, but that we've come back to one of these conversations didn't do anything for me.
Z, what about on your side?
You're muted. You're still muted.
Her hands got a little sticky from searching all the JOIs. It might take a second.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just researching JOIs. I was looking up church JOIs, but
Gosh.
church appropriate ones. I was screaming at the TV and I was like, oh, she's going to get an execution style right here.
That I would have been a lot more in for.
Right? And I thought it was like perfectly set up for that. And because did last season end with, or this season start with her calling and begging to come home? And then this was another call, her next call with her mom saying she's going to come home. And also, but if they don't kill Rue, I feel like they're going to kill her mom because I feel like that was too much of a closure sort of conversation.
Definitely was a closer conversation, so I'll grant you that. But I do believe, and I think it really did dupe you guys well with the strip club scene we got later with the mom thing when the mom But they do set it up because when she answers, she's, hey, what's up? And she's, oh, I didn't realize it was you. I was expecting somebody else when her mom calls her. So that's the double hint to give it to you for later, I think. I do want to mention a couple of things, though. We always talk on the show about bad writing and we nitpick shit. But the character's name is Ruby. Ruby is just going to remind me of the Wizard of Oz instantly. There's no place like home. She just keeps wanting to go home. They throw out that her
Oh.
character is Ruby this season. So I'll throw that out there for you. I think that's definitely a real thing. And then I don't know how much of
Was
this
the
is
Tin Man trans?
probably. He might
I
be.
think
Dan, oil him up and you'll find out, buddy.
the whole show, every time they say Rue, he's just Dorothy's feet. Dorothy's feet. I can't get them out of my head.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is Sam Levinston. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts on the shows we cover, and I always make sure that I listen to them after us. But there's some podcasts I enjoy, and that's why we got into podcasting in the first place. And I have heard some discussion. I don't know if it's on the Ringer podcast or on the Prestige TV podcast, but they did mention some of Sam Levinston's drug history. So I'm just sourcing that because I haven't looked it up. So if it's wrong, that's where I got it from. But apparently he was an addict. And so that's part of him writing this show. And some of it is just addicts being bullshit. And that's my understanding of some of what I've heard and my own postulating. He's almost spoofing his own experience or Lexiing his own experience. And if you're self critiquing yourself, if he was writing about somebody else, and this is my issue with Lexi, if he was writing about somebody else that it did this to him, it wouldn't feel as good to me as it feels. He's writing about a character that's probably very personal to him because it's how he was. So all this bullshit and Rue that you see, he sees it himself in some ways as putting on screen. That's how I'm evaluating when I watch it. Everybody has an different experience when they watch something. But then also, I'm just looking at, I've been struggling with regrets and I always wish I did things better. And I'm always very critical of myself. And sometimes you do want to just start over. And so those are very real human emotions. So once again, I get the being tired with Rue, but when I just take this scene on its face, take it away from everything else, strip it down, put it on screen, I think it's a very strong scene. Any other feedback from you there, Dan?
Two things. Did Sam Levinson diddle trans kids? Is that also part of his story?
No, and he did not diddle them and give them candy, as far as I
And then
know.
the second thing is, for me, the takeaway from the scene is that the mom character, we actually get to see the actress that plays her, which we had not seen all season. I thought this was another Fezco conversation on the phone where it was completely one-sided and we never get to see the other side of it. So when they revealed the actress at the end of it, that caught me a little bit by surprise.
Yeah, and it's tough to tell sometimes, and I would rather this show disguise it a little. And I think, are we losing Nate? Are we losing Cassie? Who else are we losing? Are we losing Rue? This could be a goodbye to her
The
mom's
actors or the characters?
the characters. But
Okay.
this could be a goodbye to the mom on the show, or this could be a goodbye to Rue on the show. You don't really know. This just might be the last scene for the actor that plays the mom, or this could be the last one of our last scenes with Rue. It probably will be regardless at the end of the season, no matter what. See, anything else from you there?
No, I just wanted her to be shot.
We end up with Cassie getting Nate's finger in a box. I definitely thought that was going to happen. There was a moment that I was like, maybe Cassie will get home invaded per Dan's fears.
That was also in my head.
But I was like, if that pays off for Dan, and they are talking about killing a character, so I think it's okay that they played a little off expectation. I wouldn't have minded seeing Nate die here, especially because they've played him a little different this season. Building up to killing him would have been maybe interesting. But yeah, I figured it was going to be the finger. Z, what were your thoughts here?
I don't think killing Nate would have. I feel like that's just giving a crumb. That's not what people even want.
You're
Like, they
going to
don't
get
care.
more stuff. There's 2 episodes left.
But I'm just saying nobody cares if he dies, whatever. There's no climax to that. But
Bloodlust on you too. Go
but
ahead.
but okay. I pulled it down and I was like, oh my God, that guy is going, Lexi's gonna be sitting there bitching about her sister with her friend, and her sister's gonna be shot. And I thought, like, that'd be so ironic, that'd be good. And then I was like, he didn't shoot her. Okay, it's a bomb. And then I was like, it's either a bomb or, oh, her husband is dead and that's his dick. But no, it's just the finger that we saw last episode. So
Well,
how
you
game
wouldn't have been able to
down.
see it if it was a dick. So who knows what you really have seen
Wait,
here.
was it his dick?
Your dick blindness. We're going to leave you to speculate for next episode. Dan, any other thoughts here?
Not in this particular scene, no.
So the one other little piece of symmetry here was Cassie was crying earlier, asking Nate for advice, can't get a hold of Nate. And she's crying, answer your phone, and we get a note to her that says answer your phone. So it's just interesting. So we assume we're going to get some sort of call. We do see Nate finally going ape shit, Spencer prating all of the endangered flowers that are ruining his life. And the guy who beats him up all the time has taken to calling him little bitch at this point. And I just keep waiting for Nate to finally do something more on brand with the previous seasons or more psychotic. And
You
he's
think
just,
Nate could at least hold his own for a little bit?
yeah, I don't know how you get your finger and your toe cut off and you don't at least have a switchblade or something on you, for crying out loud.
Maybe were there any holdable rocks in that scene where maybe next episode he'll just bludgeon the guy?
I'm guessing they're going to kidnap him and then Cassie has to meet some sort of extortion request. Otherwise, what's the threat for? If they already killed him, maybe they still make her pay the debt. But I feel like if they were going to kill him that soon, they would have showed it by the end of this episode. Any other speculation there from you two?
Nothing from me.
Alamo gets the key. We get the rat and the snake scene we already talked about. This is what Bishop did say. It would be real awkward if I lied to your mother, like when I said you were doing a good job or whatever it was that he had said. So I do think that's a DEA hint.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not doing anything. Okay, to
He's
cross the
reporting back to the
cops.
DEA because he's also on the inside.
Okay,
And
that
the
I could see
DEA
that
did
now.
use that phrase, doing a good job.
Yeah. And I do want to be clear. It was something that had kind of caught my mind before this, just because that character's been so quiet. And you see it here. They ask him a lot of times for input, and he's very careful with his input. So it's the perfect character to write for something like this. But I could
No
see it.
social skills.
I could see it being a double screw job too. You just don't know until you see it. But I think I took this as him warning Rue, not that he was going to do something to her, but watch Alamo's overall thought process. Just when you think you got him, he's trying to get you, like the rat and the snake, or I don't know. Did we think Rue? So you guys really thought Rue was going to die at this episode, and you were really hoping for it on the highway, or you did not think that, Dan? See,
No, I didn't. I didn't. Where we left off with the cliffhanger at the end of the last episode, she's the star of the show. So at least not in with two more episodes left to go. That didn't make sense to me.
yeah, other than, and I think they could have screwed themselves with that foreshadowing expectation a little bit, but I think that got you more on the edge of your seat, maybe expecting something bigger. Z, what about on your side?
I think they could kill Rue, even though she's the star of the show, because
You hate
like
her?
Cassie's story is more interesting now. And then now that Maddie is hooked up with Alamo, we could still follow his interesting story. We don't need Rue.
That
Yeah,
didn't really work with The Last of Us.
But
yeah, we don't really.
true. True. So good. You're so right.
And I do think The Last of Us would have played very differently if it was killed later in the season
Whoa,
than
no
earlier
spoilers,
in the
please.
season.
Haven't listened to the podcast yet.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
Uh,
also, wait, it occurred to me while we were recording, what if it's Alamo that dies? Because can you do one of those snake things where we say who's gonna die real
we
quickly in
have
the
one on
phone?
The Boys podcast.
It's called the Deadpool.
But maybe we'll do one in between. But yeah, Alamo could. I think we don't
Well,
know whether
because
the
Babe Ruth, he said, "I'm the great Gambino." Wait, Bambino is it?
yeah,
Uh,
Childish Gambino is the other
and
one.
in Sandlot, they said legends never die because they stay alive because they're a legend, even though the person has died.
This is a
Babe
good Z
Ruth is
theory, but
dead and he's gonna die.
where did the minerals come into this.
I'm sure they both probably refreshed with the whole Gatorade or whatever.
So, yeah, I know the most infamous highway death I remember on screen was like on Dawson's Creek. Dawson's dad, another spoiler, was like reaching down for his ice cream. He dropped in his lap and I think got a head-on collision or drove off the road. So I think this is a scene where characters on TV sometimes die, but she ends up spitting out. Was her car on fire as well, Dan? Did it seem like that
I
was
thought it was
happening?
just overheating.
Okay.
You could see fire though by her right passenger side
I thought
wheel.
so too. So I think that was like
Oh,
the real world physical explanation of what happened. But she sees this burning Joshua tree. There's a little bit in the after episode on how they set it up. At the time, she's listening to her Bible on CD and it kind of goes haywire, and just something else to look at. Something that was mentioned in the after episode, though, was what if God gives me some big sign and I misinterpret it? So I don't know if that's referring to her and Alamo earlier in the season or what, but this is obviously something she is seeing as a sign from God here at the end. Any wrap up on this last scene, Dan, or the episode from you?
it, I feel a little bit frustrated because this is a show. We get a heavy dose of religion in this episode, and I don't mind shows that deal and explore with religion. I find a lot of times there's angels in the architecture that you can't see that work their way in. But this is a show that I'm not watching for a religious message. All the other stuff it's shown us for 2.5 seasons have been way askew from it. Now, early in the season, they did seed this Rue storyline, but some of the imagery and stuff, it feels like a little bit of too much too late to all of a sudden being filled with religious allegory, and it just didn't land for me. It felt like a different show.
Z, your thoughts?
I agree because I don't know. I feel like they got an audience already, and it wasn't the understanding and being able to point out and resonate with messages like that. I feel like it's like different from
It took a
yeah.
turn. It was like,
Yeah,
okay.
I felt this was set up within this season. So I would very much argue that this is within the context of this season, but I totally agree it's not in the context of the first two seasons. I definitely could see some qualms of former fans of the show who don't like this season. I frankly didn't love the first two seasons, so I actually like this season a lot more. This is more of a normal single season of television to me than the last two were. Like when the last two weren't meant for me, or with supposedly underage people and it was supposed to be a high school thing. This is more of an adult storyline, so it's supposed to, but I just take it on that face as something totally different. Any final comments from you here, Z?
Okay, we all think Faye's gonna die, right?
Probably. We could take the death pool offline and come back if we end up
You can post it.
engaging in it. Yeah.
Faye's gonna get a lip explosion.
All right.
Wait, don't her? She looks like she's dissolved some of her filler during this season.
Probably. That would make some sense if she's
Like
trying to be taken more seriously.
she definitely like I think she had an interview where she said she wanted to be taken more seriously or whatever. But I think it's literally that she couldn't take all the fucking online hate.
Yeah.
She looked stupid.
I
Also,
like
I
her as
did
a,
ask Gary if he recognized her. I said, "You
yeah.
recognize her from anywhere? Huh? Huh?"
Yeah.
And he said no.
So you did not watch the Euphoria porno after season one.